This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav and Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter. And welcome into a brand new edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. It is an open Mailbag Monday. Desmond Johnson here with all-time Panthers leading rusher Jonathan Stewart. Schuyler, Callihan, beat writer for Sports Illustrated for the Panthers and the Hornets, is actually at the stadium right now. He will be joining us in about 10 minutes. He'll pop in here. Double show today due to the holiday weekend. No late weekend show or late week show on Thursday or Friday due to Thanksgiving. So we will give you our recap of Panthers versus Ravens. Excuse me, I can't talk today. Panthers versus Ravens, and then we'll also do Panthers versus Broncos preview, kind of squashing it all into this episode here. You know, normally later on in the week we do Tell Them Why You're Mad. We could probably fill up an hour with that today. So we'll probably get a little Tell Them Why You're Mad action in here also today. And then it's open Mailbag Monday. So if you've got anything you want to talk about in terms of what we watched yesterday or anything around the league, football related, college football, as long as it's football related, it's all fair game. So definitely chime in. You can just type it in at the bottom of the Facebook watch video that you're watching right now, or on the YouTube video over at tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. Before we get into all of that, though, quickly a message from our friends over at Bet Online. Football is back, and BetOnline remains your #1 source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like Major League Baseball, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head over to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use your promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. Bet Online, where the game starts. And where we start today, the Panthers on the losing side of this, 13-3 to the Baltimore Ravens on the road. They have yet to win a road game this year. I didn't realize it until this morning, but the Panthers have not won a road game since the Cam Newton return game last November against Arizona. So it's been a little over a year since we've had a road victory. And looking back on it, that might have been the peak of the Matt Rule era. That game and that situation, Cam running for a touchdown, throwing for a touchdown, all that was probably the peak. And then it just kind of from that point on. Let's get instant reactions here from Panthers Ravens. 13-3 is your score. This was a rock fight from the very beginning. Stu, the floor is yours. What were your initial thoughts as that game ended in terms of the Panthers' overall psyche?
I mean, let's start with the positives here. You know, our defense has been playing lights out, in my opinion, throughout this whole year, given the injury bug that they had, early on. Coming into this game, playing the Ravens, they knew what the task was, and, they rose to the occasion, which was stop Lamar Jackson in the run game. And they did all those things. I mean, the way that Jeremy Chin played, Frankie Louvu, Brian Burns. I mean, you list the guys that you expect to play well, and they did that. And it's good when you're watching a football game and the players that are going to, come to play, and they do their job. On the defensive side, you can walk away from that game and say, man, we did what we could. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a good football team, the Baltimore Ravens. And, we'll definitely see that team, playing in the playoffs. And so everything with that, I mean, the way that they've responded with Coach Wilkes even, you can see the defensive side of the ball. They get it. They understand, what it's going to take to really get over the hump. They're doing all they can. Now, the offense, they just gotta just make some plays.
Yeah.
Just gotta make the plays. And it goes back to the beginning of the year, where we were just struggling, simply to just execute. Um, guys, open, down the field, making the routine catches, coming out of your breaks, well, um, being comfortable in the pocket, run blocking, and moving the line of scrimmage, controlling the line of scrimmage. All those types of things are fundamental bases. You know what I'm saying? And um, we didn't really see it go our way yesterday. So, um, it's one of those things that we've been dealing with all year and reacting to all year. And I know the fan base is getting tired, um, but I will tell you that the Carolina Panthers are also tired as well, and they're trying to figure it out. That's just goes to show you how hard this game really is.
Yeah, it's hard to win in the NFL. Let's start right there. And Steve Wilks echoed that in the post game press conference yesterday. I did clip some audio from Coach Wilks. He was asked about how he felt about all three phases of the game from the Carolina Panthers. This was Coach Wilks' response.
As a defensive coach, yes, but as a head coach, looking at the game in all three phases, we just got to execute. Yeah, I love the way the defense played. It gave us an opportunity and a chance. Offensively, right here, we got to be able to convert and get some things going offensively, and most importantly, the special teams, we got to come up with an explosive play. So, kudos to the defense. First half, we didn't make enough plays in the second half.
I came away from that game initially thinking that's probably the last time we're going to see Baker Mayfield in a Panther uniform. It just wasn't enough. And I know, later on today I realized, okay, yeah, those swirling winds and the conditions weren't ideal to throw the football because Lamar Jackson wasn't throwing it around the park either. Actually, looking through the box score, the teams look similar in terms of what they did, other than Baltimore stopping our run game. But we stopped Baltimore's. People don't realize going into that game, Baltimore was trying to run for, I think it was their eighth straight 50-yard game that had not been done since the 85 Chicago Bears. We limited them to 115 on 30 carries, so 3.8 yards per carry. The Carolina defense was putting in work yesterday. This game should have been, honestly, a blowout because we couldn't do anything with the football. We could not score. And if you can't score, it really doesn't matter how good the defense is. If we can only score 3 points, we're not going to really win any NFL football games like that. Baker Mayfield, just looking at his stats, 21 for 33, 196, about 6 yards per pass, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. He got sacked 4 times, QBR of 20.4. Eventually it gets to a point where if the player is continuously turning in the same performance, even with different scenarios around him, maybe it's the player, maybe it's Baker Mayfield, because no matter what situation we've put him in this year, his QBR has been like 20 or 18 or whatever it might be on a 100-point scale. Like, he is not playing very well. And I do know this is Open Mailbag Monday. My boy Bleav did mention, I saw Baker hit some people in the hands yesterday on big plays and get rewarded with a drop. That is true. There were some drops yesterday, but it's the nature of the NFL. My boy Bleav, the quarterback's going to take the blame for that in the end of the day. Just like they get the kudos and the flowers with the win. They're interviewing Lamar Jackson at the end of the game. They're not interviewing an offensive lineman. So I get it. I don't want to keep making excuses for Baker Mayfield. I was trying to save this until Schuyler came in because he might have a better idea of this at the stadium. I'm curious as to who's going to start, who's going to play, because really you're down to Sam and Baker, because PJ can't play. He's got a high ankle sprain. Matt Corral is out for the year. There isn't anyone else to put back there. So let's just do it right now. Who would you rather have playing on Sunday? Sam Darnold, who we haven't seen at all this regular season in this offense, or would you give Baker another shot at home?
I mean, really, you got to wait to see, what status PJ Walker's in, right? So, I mean, he's injured. And so you really can't make a decision.
You think they would go back to PJ before giving Sam a shot?
I mean, you got to make sure he's healthy as well, right? I mean, yeah, he's, technically ready to play, but are they willing to put him out there while he's hobbled?
Who? PJ?
No,
Sam.
Sam. So I mean, you got two guys that are hobbled. Sam's probably. We don't know his situation thoroughly. I don't. And then I just look at last week, right? Like, you have a game where execution on fundamentals is the answer to reason why the offense wasn't successful. I mean, you can point to every position as to that whole reason. And should you bench a guy because everyone was executing poorly?
Unfortunately, that question's been asked to Steve Wilks this year.
And I mean, like, I've played, on teams where I've executed poorly, and different, a quarterback positions, executed poorly. And that's why I say wholeheartedly, like, it's hard to win football games in the National Football League.
Perfect timing. Schuyler Callihan dropping in live from Bank of America Stadium. Got the crew all back together. First time in what, 2 weeks? Maybe 2+ weeks. We've had all three of us together on this, and what a game to discuss. For all of us.
Yeah, Schuyler, tell us who should start this week, because I ain't gonna say it, because I don't know.
That's where we were when you popped in the door and you poked the head in right when we start talking about it. So who would you? Well, okay, let's start it this way, because you're at the stadium. I'm assuming you've had a chance to ask Steve Wilks questions, catch the vibe of the room. Did he say anything about who might start before you give your opinion on who should?
No, he said he's still evaluating the tape and probably won't have a decision until Wednesday. He hasn't gotten into the Denver stuff yet, so that's his plan for this evening. So I'm assuming we'll probably have that answer by Wednesday.
Okay.
Typically, we get the starting quarterback on Wednesday too. So I don't know what direction they're going to go in. Now, when you go back to what he said last week, he said he wanted to get Sam Darnold in the game at some point in time before he actually gets his opportunity. Well, to me, that means like he wants to get him, whether it's in scrap time or maybe a package here or there, he wants to get him in there before he gives him the starting job. Now, I don't know if you can, if you want to still stick with that after what we just saw. But I will say this, like Baker, I don't think he played. It wasn't his worst game. Like, I think for the
there
most
we go, Schuyler.
Yeah,
there we go.
I mean, I feel that.
There we go. That's kind
of how
you can't fault everybody. You can't fault one man for everyone's failures.
But
and, I mean, he completed passes. They didn't throw the ball downfield. You can't really blame Baker for the lack of downfield throws. I mean, that's Ben McAdoo. That's the way the offense was called. Now,
and the weather.
Were there times
apparently it was super windy
away?
in there too. It was super windy in there too, apparently, because Lamar didn't throw it down the field either. So,
I mean, were there times that he should have threw the ball away or at least got the ball off, like that fourth down where he took a sack instead of at least just throwing the ball up? I mean, yeah, there's throws that he'd like to have back, I'm sure. But to me, I just don't think the staff has the confidence in Baker or PJ to be able to throw the ball down the field and test the defense. And if you do that on a week in, week out basis, you're not going to be able to really have a whole lot of success. You've got to be able to push the ball downfield and have a threat. So to me, I think you got to at least give Sam an opportunity.
Yeah, because I think out of the three, Sam's got the strongest arm. And
without a doubt, yeah.
And we have seen Sam perform well in a Panther uniform. We have yet to really see, because I don't want to say like that PJ has performed well. He's just performed better than the quarterbacks we've had so far this year in that position. Because you go back and look at PJ's stats, the games he played, they're not like jumping off the page or anything. He didn't do anything wrong for the most part, and did what he was supposed to do. He handed off the football, throw that 5-yard out. He was just doing that kind of thing. I think teams are starting to really catch on to the fact that McAdoo's not calling a long passing game, hardly at all. With Baker, it did open up a little bit down the field, but not noticeably much. He was going a little bit more vertical than PJ does. PJ kind of goes to the sidelines.
How do you think that affects our run game with that mindset you just spoke on as far as going down the field? Passing the ball down the field.
I would think if it's effective, it's going to force the defense to have to kind of play out of the box a little bit. But if you're not even trying to throw it down the field, you can load the box up with, 8 dudes or whatever every time, which looking at the box score, it kind of feels like that's what Baltimore did. They held us to 36 yards rushing on 17 attempts. Deonta Foreman, 11 carries for 24 yards. His longest run was 10 yards. I never caught the vibe in this game that we had control of it or that we were going to take control of it. It felt like the Rams game in terms of feel, where I couldn't get into it. Yeah, it just felt like they didn't have the same spark that they did the week before. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's because it's the road or because Baker was starting, or I don't know. I don't know what causes that to happen, but I couldn't get into the game from the very beginning. Granted, I was peeling potatoes for a pot roast or something at the same time, so I was a bit distracted. Like around second quarter, I'm just sitting there peeling. I'm looking up, and I'll see strange things happen, like Bravion Roy get an interception at the line of scrimmage, or them overturning that. Who was it that fumbled? Was it Shot Smith that fumbled? They whistled play dead, so I'm thinking it's over, and then somehow they overturn it and give it to the Ravens. I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that if the play was whistled dead. I thought it was just unreviewable, but apparently not. It's one of those games where it feels like we lost by more than we did, and I think that's the thing I'm kind of carrying with me this week. It feels like it should have been like 26-3 or something, but it wasn't.
Well, I mean, really, outside of that, what was it, a minute and a half like swing that Baltimore scored those 10 points? I mean, it was really a tight game all the way through. Like,
3-3.
I don't think Baltimore played exceptional offensively. Lamar really didn't have a whole lot outside of that one touchdown rush. I thought they bottled him up fairly well. I thought they played a pretty good game, except for just offensively, they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Jack Dixon asks, Stewie, you can throw, right? Like, are we at the point where we need to do the Vinny Testaverde, bring a dude off the street on a Tuesday, have him start?
And look, you don't want to see me throw. I'm like Uncle Rico from what's that movie?
Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite. I got some film just like it too. On the VHS.
Yeah. I mean, something's got to give because
I was a backup quarterback in high school, but there's a reason why I was a backup.
Man, look, this was the worst weekend for me, sports fan wise. Y'all know I call high school football for one of the top teams in North Carolina. They lost Friday night, so I was like, high school football, when it's over, it's just done. Like it's it. And a lot of those kids, they're not going to play football again. You know what I mean? Like that was the last game they're going to play for their career. So I had that Friday night. Wake up Saturday, I do stuff for North Carolina A&T. They were playing Gardner-Webb, Big South Championship. I'm producing that game. Winner goes on to the FBS playoffs or whatnot. A&T loses, so their season's over. It's just like, boom, done, over. Like, so all that's done now. I get to Sunday, and I already walk in the living room already knowing like what's about to go down. Because we're away. We haven't won a road game in a year. It's Lamar Jackson. I'm like, are we going to be chasing this dude around all day? And then lo and behold, the Panthers are like, yo, we're going to come in here and play some defense today. So I'm like, okay, maybe they can salvage the weekend. And then we just didn't have enough. Like, it felt like we just didn't have enough at certain spots, quarterback mainly being it. Do you want to see Baker Mayfield out on the field again, or have you seen enough?
I mean, for me, I want to see anyone that goes underneath the center just be successful. I believe Baker Mayfield can be successful. Like, there's glimpses. Like, I mean, if you really look at the game yesterday, like, he was putting the ball like in places where
he had a couple
like a professional, like he was throwing the rock.
He had that one.
And I mean,
Terrence Marshall. Remember?
I mean, we look at the Minnesota Vikings game. Okay, Kirk Cousins. Who would you rather take yesterday, Kirk Cousins or Baker? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're both playing Dallas, because if they're both playing Dallas, I don't think it matters.
But I'm just saying though, like, when at that position, it's it's easy for us to sit back and say, "Oh, he should have did this. He should have done that." And it's like, I mean, he doing what he can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they get paid too. So
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
like that, and coming into this game, you knew what time it was. It was, hey, stop Lamar Jackson and just score.
Yeah,
We just couldn't score.
Yeah.
And so that's the nature of this game. That's why it's so hard, and that's why football is the number one sport, because it really tests a man, and it really measures a man. And you walk away from a loss like that, you just got to look at yourself in the mirror, everybody.
You, my boy Blue, call Matt Moore and see what he's doing if Vinny isn't willing to come back. Vinny Testaverde he was 40 something when we brought him back that year, so he's got to be damn near 60, right?
Yeah,
like in his mid 50s at this point. Where is Matt Moore? Matt Moore is an interesting Panther tale. He was right there in that gray pre-Cam Newton, Jimmy Clausen, like that era, like right in there. He was in there. There was a large clamor for people saying he should start here for the longest. I remember.
Yeah, he got he got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Yeah, Matt Moore was solid, man.
He was a baller.
I enjoyed him as a teammate. He really actually helped me learn the offense pretty well.
He went to Miami.
He went to Miami. He was with the Chiefs for a little bit.
I don't think that's true. Jack Dixon says Matt Moore is selling insurance in Gastonia. I don't think that's accurate.
Hey, Jack Dixon, stop being disrespectful.
Yeah, don't be disrespectful to former Panthers,
don't be
man.
Disrespectful, man. Don't make me have to find you and put you out somewhere.
We'll have Stu waiting in your bushes. About Matt Moore? Matt Moore was our purgatory QB.
Really similar to like the Hornets situation, though, because like the Hornets for years, they've just kind of been in that weird spot where they weren't bad enough to get like a top pick, or they weren't good enough to make a run in the postseason. The Panthers are like in the same spot with the quarterback spot, because like I don't know if anybody's going to be worse than Houston, right? Like, I mean, and if they get the number one pick, Bryce Young's off the board. And I've already told you last week, Stu wasn't on, but I told Desmond, like, I'm not high on many of these quarterbacks this year, like as everybody else.
I'm not high on Bryce Young. You heard it here first.
I'm not high on any of them. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, like I don't know.
If you don't get Bryce Young, like who are you going to get that's going to be that dude? And to me, like you have to have a dude at quarterback in today's game. Like, and I just don't know where that's going to come from.
Look at like Kansas City. Them having Pat Mahomes separates them like from everyone. You know what I mean? Like that's a franchise guy. Like people go back and forth on Dak Prescott, but he's a franchise quarterback. Like you saw, Dallas is better when they have him playing like that, where they don't have everything on top of him, and he can just conduct the offense, as opposed to him having to be like Pat Mahomes, where he can be that extra guy to get you over the hump. We haven't had a guy like that since Cam Newton, and they fumbled that whole process of transition. We're just not as lucky as like Green Bay. Green Bay has had two franchise quarterbacks for the past 30 years, or who else? The Patriots had a franchise quarterback for 20 years, like we haven't had that sustained like there for that guy, because those guys don't come around all the time. And that goes back to the discussion about tanking or whatever. We've got the top two quarterbacks picked in the 2018 draft on the roster right now. Like that doesn't guarantee that we're going to be successful by picking the top three.
How many teams can survive? Well, not survive, but how many teams can seriously make a push year in and year out with a quarterback like I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like a Ryan Tannehill or Jimmy Garoppolo? Like only certain teams are built that way. Like San Francisco's got a hell of a roster. That's why they're able to do that. Tennessee's got a pretty damn good roster. Carolina's roster is nowhere near those two organizations right now. That's why you see the struggles of Baker and the struggles of Sam and PJ. Like for this team to kind of make that step, either the roster's got to get whole hell of a lot better, or the quarterback spot has to have a dude at it.
Do you Cupid Cashman asks, will Anderson or quarterback with our number one pick? And this is what me and Schuyler talked about last week.
I want Stu's thought on this.
Yeah, I want to hear Stu on this. Do you go all out for one of these quarterbacks? Because, I mean, as it stands right now, we're going to be picking in the top 10 somewhere, probably. And I know it's still November, so I really don't want to get too deep in the weeds with that conversation. But would you go defense if Will Anderson's sitting there, or would you try your luck on one of these quarterbacks? Because the entire quarterback room is clearing out at the end of the season, except for Matt Corral, who's on a rookie deal. The other three guys are unrestricted free agents, and I don't know if they're going to keep any of the three.
Well, if I'm GM and I got top pick, I'm going the best player available, hands down. And it's not one of them quarterbacks. So
are you on the vet train? Like I was saying, I'd go camp out in front of Lamar Jackson's house and be like, "Yo, look, I will give you $300 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
I will give it to you. Come
$300 million guaranteed.
Yeah, come on. I mean, if Deshaun Watson's worth $245 guaranteed, would you give Lamar?
I'm definitely thinking to myself, like,
it ain't my money.
let's look at the rosters of these teams around the NFL and really, make a run at one of them. Like, I mean, if you brought Cooper Rush in here, right? Like, would you take Cooper Rush
over what we have? I'd take Jimmy G over what we have right now.
Jimmy G. He was out there.
Oh, the backup for the Ravens. What's his name? Huntley. He looked good last year when they had him out there when Lamar was hurt. I liked him, but apparently the Ravens do too. But I don't know. We've tried this whole bring in and rebuild a quarterback thing for the past 3 years. I don't know how long the fan base would stand for something like that unless you got a legit name. I would go after Lamar Jackson. I really would. Like, I would say the Ravens screwed up.
If you get the number 3 pick and those the top two quarterbacks are off the board and Will Anderson's sitting there, draft Will Anderson and go sign freaking Jimmy G. Like,
yeah,
you killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
Because you've got pieces all over the place. Like, again, Matt Rule, the one thing that I admired him on was talent evaluation to an extent, because their drafts were pretty good. Like, I like what they've compiled over the past 3 drafts. It's just what he did with it after he had it that just didn't compute. And I'm hoping that Fitterer was a lot of it from last year, and that him and whoever the new coach is going to be will be able to fill those holes. What are you guys' thoughts on Steve Wilks right now? Because I know we all love the man, but with more losses than wins, it's less and less likely he's going to get seriously considered to be head coach going forward, even though a lot of players are starting to pipe up to his defense, especially over the past 10 days or so. Do you feel like Wilks is in the same boat as he was before this game, or do you feel like that boat's starting to take the water?
No, I think that boat is like taking off, boy. Like, listen, you can bring in the best head coach on paper. If he ain't respected, you're gonna have the same results.
That's true.
This man, Steve Wilks, is respected. They know his history. They know what he's about. People in at the stadium, see him and they love his presence. When you have a guy like that, to me, you can't put a price tag on that. Like, and to me right now, like the defense played lights out. Like, let's not be crazy here. Like, our defense played really well. And you have to give some of that credit to Steve Wilks. He's a defensive coach. You know what I'm saying? So
they did a great job. Defensive,
you know what I'm saying? And so going back to it, like, it's not rocket science. Defense play defense, offense execute, and special teams be special. We just didn't do 2 things. The 2 out of the 3 we didn't do well. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to the drawing board. A coach that talks like that, I can ride with that. He ain't trying to overcomplicate nothing, which means eventually, you hate to say eventually during a football season, you'd rather say eventually when it's off season. But like right now, like you just gotta hope they stack some wins. I've been saying it all season, but as bad as it felt and as bad as it feels right now, y'all gonna hate me for saying this. We still not out. Oh, you still got a chance.
I wasn't gonna say it out loud on the podcast, but
still got a chance.
Mathematically, you are correct. Yes,
mathematically, we are still in it. I'm talking this way because I was on a 7-8-1 team, and we had
I was
a
going to
chance.
ask you this because this is where you guys were, right? Like, I mean, you guys were 3-8-1, and then
Right.
1 through December. We're 3-8. We got 6 games left in the season.
Yeah,
What was it? What did you guys do to
man, look,
turn it around?
I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. We went to Minnesota. We played Minnesota outside in that cold. It was like -7 degrees, and we lost that game. Special teams had like 3 block punts. I don't even know what it was. It was just a bad game. It was just too cold. We didn't want to be. We didn't want to be out there.
That was the game because the Metrodome or whatever, the roof caved in or something because of snow.
We had to play
Minnesota.
We had to play at Minnesota.
Yeah, I remember.
And so I was like, we didn't want to be out there, and it was legitimately in a moment, like after the game, like Coach Rivera was just like, man, y'all better bring it next week. Like because it was almost kind of like, I know it was cold and that weather was not it, but whatever y'all, when we get back home, we better get it on. Like, and we played the Saints, and we came and smacked them at their house. And then it just stacked on stacked and stacked. And the Atlanta Falcons, it helps to have the Atlanta Falcons in our division because you know what they like to do. They like to lose games unexpectedly.
Falcons on Falcon. Yeah, they're
so
going to do.
Falcons going to do 28-3 and let somebody come back and win, all those types of things. So we got chances out here to really establish ourselves as a team that wants to win games. And that's what I'm rooting for. As the season continues and comes to an end. But
Cupid Cashman saying, why is everyone saying it's Wilkes' fault for offensive play and not McAdoo? I don't think any of us are blaming Steve Wilkes.
No one's saying the Wilkes ain't at fault for none of this.
No, we cool with Wilkes. We've been blaming. If you can go check the tape, I've been blaming Ben McAdoo pretty much on time every Monday.
Well, we definitely ain't blaming Wilkes.
Well, honestly, I think our Thursdays why you mad is Desmond's why you mad at Ben Thursday. Des is why you mad at Denver Thursday.
But I mean, they keep giving us reasons. They keep giving us reasons to do this. I don't understand.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
My thing with Steve Wilkes, like, look, I think he gets it. He understands the culture. He understands the organization. The organization understands him. And like Stu was saying, you can go out there and try to make this big, sexy hire, right? Like you can go get the next offensive genius that's going to be, the Sean McVay or the Kyle Shanahan. Those guys just don't grow on trees. And for a place like Carolina, in the situation that they're in, you have to have a guy that gets it, that can command a locker room. And much like a quarterback, you want a quarterback that can kind of get everyone's attention, right? You want that same thing in your head coach. Steve Wilkes has that. And when you look at the hand that he was dealt, I mean, let's just be honest. Like, he didn't have much to work with. Yeah. I don't care if it was Steve Wilkes, if it was Al Holcomb. I don't care if it was Ben McAdoo that got the interim tag. Like, it doesn't matter. The offense is what the offense is because of the personnel. You can't do much about it right now. You're not going to be able to do anything about it till the offseason. As Stu said, like, the defense has gotten better and better and better.
So, I like the defense. I like what they're doing.
If you have a guy like that can command a locker room and can really run an organization, like all it takes is getting to the offseason and allowing him to kind of make some moves to go in that right direction. I think Steve deserves the job. I don't care if they lose the last 6. I think he's the guy for this job.
I would love for Wilkes to get like a 3-year deal or something like that, where you're not putting it out there for 6 years, $65 million like you did with Matt Rule. That was a lot of people raised their eyebrows at that when it first happened. At least with Wilkes, he had head coaching experience in the NFL before this. So I mean, give him a 3-year deal, let him have an offseason to actually contribute with the draft and free agency and actually try to build this team how he sees fit. Because really, he's coaching Matt Rule's team. Like, that's what's happening right now.
Exactly. He's basically kind of on not co-pilot, but like he's kind of he's like watching over a daycare right now. Like, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of young
watching
kids.
Somebody else's kids.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Young kids that really aren't his yet, that are inexperienced. So yeah, I mean, it's like being at a daycare.
He got a couple kids in there that went to the church that he went to.
Yeah.
So he know him a little bit.
He got some badass kids in there, and they're all kinds of nonsense.
But,
and then it's up, but with the quarter, it's all the quarterback to me. The quarterback position is what's holding them back. Because if they just had a person that could come there and throw for 200 yards every week and not turn it over, we're probably sitting here at the top of the division right now. But granted, it would be like at 500 or whatever, but we would still be at the top of the division if we just could get some kind of decent play at quarterback. I feel it's the main thing holding this team back. I can't name anything else.
I mean, you got to feel so bad for DJ Moore. Like, I mean, this dude should be putting up massive numbers if he just had something there.
I don't know how he's averaged 1,100 yards his first 3 seasons. And I'm looking at the quarterbacks that were throwing to him, and I don't understand how. Like, how did he get to that every year?
God
this year, but I haven't looked at his stats. But I don't know. We do need to get into real quick Panthers Broncos. It's super early in the week, so we can only do so much.
Let me tell you why I'm mad before we go over there.
Oh yeah, let's do that. So
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
what tell me why you mad, man. What's up?
The running back for the Denver Broncos.
Who's the running back for the Broncos?
What's his last name? Gordon?
Not anymore.
Melvin Gordon, yeah.
Melvin. Hold on to the ball, son.
Oh, they just waved him.
They did?
Yeah, I just saw it. I was scrolling down.
Oh, Lord.
Just waved him.
Oh, Denver Broncos. I'm mad at y'all. I'm mad at y'all right now, as a matter of fact, too. Just the whole organization. Y'all just making moves like that, just like getting rid of guys for just woo. Man, it's a hard day.
Like, listen. So, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, the Denver Broncos have waived veteran running back Melvin Gordon. The oft fumbling running back had another fumble at the 1-yard line during yesterday's loss to the Raiders. Damn, they lost to the Raiders, and it ended up being a game-altering play.
I mean, my guy was carrying the ball like real fundamental, but just upright. I'm like, bro, you definitely about to get stripped. You know that. Like, you know that there's some times where I've been stripped. You know what I'm saying? Like twice. I've been stripped twice in one game, I Bleav. But at least it's like you see the ball here and you trying to hold on to it.
Yeah.
like when it's just in the moment, in that moment, you gotta have the Panther claw. All right. Got the 3 fingers.
Yeah,
clamp that thing down to your forearm, bicep. Hold it tight to your chest, brother, and then wrap up. You was out there holding the loaf of bread, man.
Now he ain't holding nothing because he's unemployed. I didn't realize they cut him.
I hate to see that they cut him though, man. Yeah. That's not great, man. You don't want to see that happen.
He had 5 fumbles in 10 games.
I can't really tell. I can't tell you what the Denver Broncos are doing though. They just being Denver Broncos. I can't stand the Denver Broncos. I'm mad at the Denver Broncos.
That's who we got this week, actually.
I don't like the Denver Broncos.
Russell
I
Wilson
can't wait to play them.
We've been waiting on this week for a while, too. I didn't realize it was going to be Thanksgiving week when it went on, but we'll get to predictions in a bit. Schuyler, do you have one for Tell Them Why You Mad Monday special edition?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
Why am I mad? Why am I mad? I really don't know.
It's okay, man. If you're not mad, that means you're happy.
I'm cool right now. Now that might change by the end of the week, but I'll go with this. Since we're on the why are you mad at Denver theme, I don't know why were the expectations so high for this team in the first place? Because Russell Wilson was not great the last few years of Seattle.
Nope.
And I think we talked about this before the season started. And I said they were going to finish dead last in that division.
You definitely did say that.
You remember when everyone was saying that was going to be the greatest division of all time? When Wilson got in there and
who knew the NFC East would be so dang good?
I actually said that the Raiders are going to be all right this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't buy the whole all 4 of the AFC West teams making the playoffs or any of that bit, and I definitely didn't see the NFC East playing like this. But
or the AFC East.
Yeah. What
It's
actually
been weird.
the AFC East was mine.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Zach Wilson needs to sit down with a veteran quarterback and get taught how to talk in the press because he's going to lose his football team before he grows into it. You can't basically act like you're not the problem when you're the one throwing for 77 yards on 9 catches or whatever it was against the Patriots on Sunday. You can't be like, I'm above everybody in the locker room. And that's what it's feeling like it's starting to happen over there. I didn't realize the Jets were this good. Like, I know we played them. I didn't catch a vibe that they were going to maybe make the playoffs when we played them. And they're sitting right there. Like, they're in a playoff spot right now. Are they leading that division? No, I think Miami is. I think Miami's leading that division right now.
Yeah,
but the
Miami
Jets are right
is.
there. So, I mean, I'm a little mad that the Jets are better than us. Because that shouldn't be. Like, ever.
Well,
Yo, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
How are the Jets a playoff team and we ain't? Like, what part of the game is that?
yeah, the Jets need to Zach Wilson. It's every now and then it's good to eat some humble pie.
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know who's gonna serve it to him, within that organization, but it's always good to have a veteran that's in that locker room that can serve a humble pie.
Joe
And
Yeah.
that's what, and I feel like,
Joe
people
Flacco.
can be mad all they want to about how Zach Wilson's been and all that. You can be mad. It's all up to y'all in that locker room to figure it out.
And
So figure it out.
We were talking about this right before we came on the air, where I was saying, it feels like there's a generation of new, younger quarterbacks in the league that are coddled, like that didn't earn whatever it is they have. Like Zach Wilson didn't earn the starting position. He was given the starting position with the Jets. Pat Mahomes, he didn't earn it. He was given it. They traded off Alex Smith. Now he's performed. He's done what he's supposed to do. And he's the MVP.
I'm gonna back that up though, because Patrick Mahomes, the way he came in and started playing like that, he must have been doing some amazing things on that practice field.
They were on the sideline in practice, like what
He was
do
probably
to
eating that
outside?
defense up every week. Like, man,
Yep.
we might want to play him.
And that team was good with Alex Smith. They were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't like they were in a rush, but sometimes you can't just hold talent back. But it does feel like some of these younger quarterbacks, Kyler Murray comes to mind, that feel
Danny Dimes.
yeah, they just feel coddled. Like before it was you would sit behind a vet and learn from the vet, and then when it was your time, you would play. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is the last quarterback that happened with that actually panned out. Because I'm trying to think of others that have had to sit behind. So now these rookies, Cam started day one. Like they're coming in ready to go, like right now. And
I know he was not a top quarterback, but Kirk Cousins, he was drafted in the same draft class as RG3 on the same team.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And he sat behind him for a while, and now he's getting.
Would you put Jimmy G in that category?
Yeah.
Put that on there. Real quick before we get out of here though, because we're not going to be on later on this week because of the holiday. Early thoughts on Panthers Broncos, guys. We'll just go around real quick.
Whew.
The Broncos aren't very good. I
Here
mean,
we go.
we're at home, so that helps.
What's the weather gonna be like?
That you know what? I don't know if they can go that far out, but I don't think they're calling for anything crazy. See if I can pull it up.
This weather says that Charlotte
10% rain, 42 is the low, 62 high. So
we're gonna have a good day.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm gonna go ahead and just say we're gonna win this game. Clearly. 24-10.
I feel like that's the score we
The Denver Broncos gonna score 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Oh wow. Okay. So you put a narrative on it. So it's gonna be 24-0. We're gonna be pitching a shutout.
Yeah, we're gonna score 20. It's gonna be 24-10, and the Broncos gonna make a nice little effort towards the end of the game. It ain't gonna be enough.
Denver's 3-7. Just like us. They have allowed about 30 more points than they've scored this year so far. Schuyler?
Well, since Stu wasn't here last week, and I was able to pick the opposite team and not get crushed.
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you too.
You know what? I'm gonna make Stu happy this week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Broncos. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going.
Boy,
Oh.
you wrong. You definitely gonna be wrong this week. Broncos ain't got a chance.
Carolina.
Boy.
I'm going Carolina with a weird score. This feels like a weird score game, right? 22-19.
Ooh.
Carolina.
Okay.
And the Broncos, they're terrible. I've said it all year. I said it before the year. And this is going to be one of those weeks where they're going to be talking about it on Monday, being like, Russell Wilson really just lost to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm on that vibe too, where I feel like Monday's headline will be, is Russell Wilson washed or is Russell Wilson done? Basically what they just tried to do to Dak Prescott last week and what they tried to do to Aaron Rodgers 2 weeks ago. And then they came out and had great games like after they got trashed for the entire week across national media. The problem is Russell Wilson doesn't have any bullets like to do that with. Like this Denver offense, I'm looking at it and I'm just like I don't understand why they gave this dude $250 million. Like I really don't understand it. I'm gonna go. We're at home, so that does help, and it is a 1 o'clock kick, I believe, so that helps too. West Coast team coming in.
Actually,
or is it a 4?
I don't know.
I think it's a 1 o'clock.
I think it's 1 o'clock. I think. I can't get to the Panthers.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock.
It's a 1. Okay, so you're playing a West Coast team, 1 o'clock. The defense is kind of rounded into form. The problem is it's hard to pick if they're going to win or lose because I don't know who's going to play quarterback. Like I don't know. Is it Baker Mayfield? Because if it is, then we're going to play a certain way. Is it PJ Walker? Then the offense is going to look a certain way. I don't know what the offense looks like with Sam Darnold. So I think Sam Darnold's going to start, and I think the Panthers are going to have. My mouth is like, don't say it. I think they're going to have the best offensive showing of the year against these Denver Broncos.
I like it.
I'm going big. I'm going to say like something eye-opening. I'm going to say Panthers 31, Broncos 10.
So what you saying is Jeremy Chin going to get a pick 6.
I think we're going to get some defensive turnovers. I think they can bait Wilson into a couple of interceptions. I honestly feel like Sam Darnold's going to start this football game, and the offense is going to look completely different than it has the entire year. Because there's no other place to go, and Sam actually has an arm that can complete some throws. Baker did complete some throws on Sunday. He had the one to Terrence Marshall late that he was running for his life and threw it. I think it was on like a 3rd down and long or something, and Marshall hit it, caught it in stride. Down in the red zone, I believe it was. Stuff like that. So Baker could actually do that. I'm pretty sure Sam can do that too. I'm pretty sure we've seen him do it. He just didn't have an O-line in front of him. This will be the best offensive line Sam Darnold's played behind in his entire professional career if they put him out in the field. They've got weapons for him. I kind of need to see it. I need to see Sam Darnold in this before I finally
whatever they do, man, I want them to be successful. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, PJ Walker, whoever it is, when your number is called,
execute.
Just execute.
Just
go out there and ball out, man.
And to Stu's defense, because he did mention this earlier in the broadcast. Even though we're 3-8, mathematically, we are not out of this. I'm trying to find our
Show you right.
I'm trying to find the division, and I can't seem to pull up what everybody else is right now.
Not out of
it. Okay. Tampa Bay's 5-5. We're 3 games back from Tampa. Atlanta's 5-6. New Orleans 4-7. We're sitting at 3-8. There's 6 games left to play. Our upcoming schedule, we got Broncos here. We go to Seattle next week. Following Pittsburgh here, Detroit here, at the Bucks, at the Saints to end the season. That's not a daunting schedule. In fact, that I'm not even gonna say it because every time we do that, it backfires in our face. Let's just Broncos Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox. I think we've all picked the Panthers to win in some variety. Let's just see what happens. So you can catch this episode and previous episodes of the Bleav in Panther podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network. You can see the video on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel, along with previous episodes. You can stream us on all major podcast platforms, Spotify, Google, iTunes, Luminary, and more. Typically, we're twice a week, but of course, with the holiday, we won't be on later this week. So you can just rewind and watch this again if you choose to. And that's it for us. So we're all picking a Panther victory Sunday. They kind of need one. We'll see if Sam Darnold makes an appearance or not. For Jonathan Stewart, for Schuyler Callihan, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep pounding.